On the next Built to Last, we take a bird's eye view of a construction project in Chicago, from the outside in and the inside out. It's a commercial project using the latest techniques for interiors and much more. Next on Built to Last. Hi, I'm Bruce Obora. Before the creature comforts get installed in your home or in commercial buildings, the material and finishes play a big part in soundproofing, ambiance, and the overall maintenance. Today I've been invited to a construction project in Chicago for a first-hand look on how everything gets put together. Let's check it out.
Everything started here back in September. We actually came up here. This was an existing roof, and it was approximately 5 foot down from here, this elevation that we're standing at. A ballasted roofing system was in place. We removed all that, peeled back the roof, put down a traffic membrane underneath it, and the first order of business was erecting the trusses that relocated the columns for the building.
Okay, so originally, this was a 5-story building, so everything from here is new construction. And I see off to the side here, this is pretty much was roof level. You're protecting the existing structure here that's in place.
Well, this is the atrium that goes through the entire mall itself. So underneath us is an active mall. Stores and everything don't even know that we're up here building a building currently. And that level of protection that we've put in place is if anything falls off the structure during construction, it's all been designed to withstand any loads that would come down off of the building.
Okay, and I see you guys are pretty far advanced here.
Oh yeah, we've been moving up pretty well. Typically, everything's on a 5-day cycle. The windows, the interiors, everything moves at a 5-day cycle through the building.
So Jeff, we're here up on the 23rd floor. Kind of what's taking place here?
Well, we're actually in a transition phase, you would call it. We've already removed the reshores from the building, and we're going into, the carpenters have been up here, laid out the floor, snapped all the control lines for the interior walls and the MEP finishes to start. But the first thing we got to do is get the building enclosed. So the next phase of this is going to be putting in the exterior envelope. Once the envelope's on, we'll go ahead and start the interiors and MEPs.
Okay, and this is pretty much typical as all the floors go up, correct?
Everyone goes through it. These are what they call receptors. There's 3 crews that work on this for the building enclosure. So you have your layout crew, then you have your receptor crew, and then you have your physical window installations. This is the first part of the whole step. Layout's already done. They put in the receptors, and as we work ourselves down here, you'll see the windows starting to get put into place and the heads and sills being caulked.
So Jeff, we got a lot going on up here on the deck today. Kind of what's taking place here?
Well, we've kind of gone from a mildly reshored floor to full action, the beehive, I guess you would call it, you walked into.
Sure.
We're in the process of prepping and getting ready for the concrete deck pour. So everything that's going in the deck is the reinforcing, the mechanical systems that are ran into the deck, so a lot of the electricals embedded into it. These are the conduits that are embedded into the deck. One of the things, we have a new product that we're working out here called Stub-EASE, or Conduit Stub-Up Eliminator. This is something new on this project. It's able to, instead of having the conduit project through the top of the concrete, it allows it to actually keep the coupling embedded into the concrete. So after the pour, that's stripped out and there's no longer a stub-up sticking up, and eliminates any trip hazards that we have on the floor.
at what point are you ready before the pour? You said this is roughly a 2-day process here?
A lot of times what will happen, we've got this thing dialed in so well on this project that around 4:30 tonight, all activities will cease and desist.
Really?
Tomorrow morning we'll be up here and actually pouring already. A lot of times the roughing's actually taking place as we're coming across with so if we're starting the concrete pour over here on the east side, working to the west, the guys will still be roughing in over here. We've got this thing dialed in so well that we're actually able to get it in the night before and just pour the concrete by 11 o'clock. The next morning we're poured out, we're recouping materials, bringing it up, going up to the next level and making our column pours that night.
Wow, it looks pretty great. It's amazing to see everything taking place at this rate.
Yeah, there's no time to wait. We got a pretty heavy schedule on top of us. The nice thing is we're actually up here pouring concrete and building floors out below. And maybe we can take a look down there and I can show you where we're building out. Literally on level 7, we're already to the point of getting ready for punch list.
That's great. Let's take a look.
All right.
So Jeff, what do we have going on here?
Well, Bruce, this is typical in residential construction. There's no drop ceiling, so we actually use the concrete ceiling as the finished product in the unit. They start out by boxing the joints, as you can see up here, and that's where the formwork embedded a deeper pocket into the concrete. So they skim that, and then they come along with a cover coat process and spray it with a gypsum product, and that goes on in 3 layers to the point where this will almost look like glass and a perfect finish on the ceiling.
Okay, now that's something that takes place before you start doing any of the framing?
Exactly. So the first thing we would do is come up here and do the layout, so the guys will actually know where there's finished ceiling and not finished ceiling. Once the layout's done, this crew will come up here. They'll actually box out the joints and then come through and cover coat it and finish it.
Okay, great. So the next step would be the framing. Can we take a look at the framing?
We'll head on right down. All right, Bruce, as you can see, we're progressing as we go down through the building. As you saw above, we had the finished ceilings going in. Here, ceilings have been skim coated. The framing's in, and the mechanical systems are beginning to be roughed into the walls. It's a process that's typically done. Each turn on the floor is approximately 5 days. So
okay.
Skim coating's 5 days, framing's 5 days, mechanical rough's 5 days. And the next phase will start coming up here once we complete with all the roughing in the walls. The city inspectors will come through here, give us the approval, and then we'll come up and start drywalling the next units.
Okay.
This is a perfect example of a 2-bedroom unit, 2-bedroom, 2-bath. Framing is in for the kitchen. This would be the kitchen area in here, little island over here, bedrooms and bathrooms. And you can't complain about the view, that's for sure.
No, and I noticed everything's metal stud framing. You roughed them for sprinklers, so everything's pretty much non-combustible.
Totally. It's part of the code that we have to follow. So what they call fire loading the building, and as we go down to the lower floors in the progression of this, you'll start seeing cabinets and flooring going in, which are the combustibles they're concerned about.
Okay, and that's something we could take a look at now?
Sure, we'll
Great.
head down. Well, Bruce, you can see we've made a little bit of progression from up top.
Sure.
We're actually in the state, we've rocked the walls, all the MEPs are embedded, and we're final taped, and going into this project has 2 coats of paint, so we're coming in with the prime coat at this time. You see that we have some of the cabinets that have already been delivered to the floor, so once the painting's complete, we'll bring the flooring guy in. Flooring will go down, we'll start bringing cabinets in and going into finishes with tile and flooring.
Okay, so that's the next step of the process here then?
Exactly.
Okay, great. Do you have a floor that's pretty much complete?
We sure do. We actually have a mock-up completed we can go down to. Well, Bruce, here's the what I would call the ta-da moment, the finished space. This is what we use as our mock-up. Mock-ups are actually completed way ahead of schedule for the build-out cycle in order for us to go through every detail on the project, including tile layouts, as you see behind you,
Sure.
cabinets, where the pulls on the cabinets actually go, things of that nature, receptacle locations, everything. Everybody comes through here, gives it a final approval, says this is exactly how we want it. If they don't, we make the adjustments here, and then we go build it 690 more times.
And you have the appliances, everything's pretty much in place except for working condition.
Yep, we could actually cook up a dinner if we wanted to.
Okay, now I notice off to the side here, you monitor the space as well?
Yeah, it's in our best interest to make sure that that's a humidistat that we have back there. Our guys come through here on a daily basis and make sure that we track the humidity levels. A lot of the materials that are being used in this space are affected by humidity, so if we get too high of levels, we make sure that we adjust it and we are under temperature control.
Okay, because we really, for time on now, you're still under construction.
And I'm still under warranty, so I got to make sure that I provide a finished product that hasn't been affected by any moisture content.
Well, I really appreciate it. It's great to see this really from, ground up to get to this point, so I really appreciate your time today.
Anytime. I appreciate you coming out.